Hi guys, I wanted to review a very interesting clip by Inspiring Philosophy. Um, yeah, Inspiring Philosophy. They are talk about all sorts of interesting things about philosophy, like religion, God, um, and stuff like that. And I really like it. I don't really watch all of it. I really like this one about the Emergent universe. Now it's very interesting this one because basically what this guy's doing is a challenge to materialism. So for those that don't know, um, materialism is this. It says materialism is a form of philosophical monism which holds that matter is the fundamental substance in nature and that all things, including mental states and consciousness, are results of material interactions. So, yeah, that's the definition of materialism. Now, what um, what basically this documentary tries to do is basically try and show that that's not the case. Like, for example, space and time, matter and energy and stuff like that are not fundamental in the sense that they are not. It's it's not. There's nothing beyond that. So what this video argues that it does go beyond that actually, and it's interesting. It's not some kind of crazy um, um, religious video or anything. It's quite interesting because it's got scientists who back up a lot of these things, saying things like the universe is probably just an illusion, and things like that, and that behind the scenes it's just loads of ones and zeros working and to create this universe that we see. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting. But yeah, I'd like to do a review on this video that I enjoyed because I didn't really believe everything this guy said. I thought there was some things that probably need challenging, and but overall, I'd like to review it and so that you can maybe give it a watch and see if maybe it's something that you're into, um, and stuff. I watched some of his others videos, but most of it I don't really watch. But this one I really liked. So yeah. So first of all, he goes about and says how materialism is basically dying out, and it's confirmed by scientists too. So, and he says this because, as I said from this earlier, about materialism, it's a the fact the idea that materialism suggests that matter is just fundamental to everything is incorrect and is being replaced, or it's been challenged, even in the scientific field. And that, for example, this the next sentence in this, it says, according to philosophical materialism, mind and consciousness are byproducts, blah blah blah. The next sentence actually, this concept direct contrasts with idealism, where mind and consciousness are first order realities to which matter is subject to material interactions as secondary. So basically, that last sentence. So basically, the opposite of materialism is idealism, where, for example, everything we see is our mind creating this image. So, in a sense, matter itself is not like, it doesn't have a hold on me, really. Basically, I have a hold on it. So, it's a very interesting idea, you know. I'm not really a big expert on philosophical terms and that sort of stuff, but I find it interesting. So yeah, he talks about that, but then he goes into, like, for example, starts talking about how these scientists have got together, and they are basically saying that actually this universe is actually just one big, like, machine of some sort. It's an illusion created by this machine of whatever it is, and that it's basically loads of ones and zeros. Because, for example, one of the examples to use is that a black hole, for example, uh, when a thing goes into a black hole, you never actually see it go into the black hole because of the speed of light. I think it is because light can't escape from the black hole, yet the object does fall into the black hole actually, but we actually see the object outside the black hole, and it will never actually go inside because the speed of light and can't escape, and time itself slows down, and that it goes to almost zero, or pretty much zero. Therefore, it can't escape. Therefore, that's why we can see the object never actually fall into a black hole. So yeah, that was interesting, because basically that's saying that we have information there, but the object's not actually there anymore. So we basically see it still. Yeah, we can't, like, for example, it's not actually there, if you know what I mean. And therefore, I think that's where they get this idea of illusion from, that this is just an all illusion. So yeah, very interesting. And then he goes on to talk about things like quantum entanglements. So I'm going to play a little clip of how this guy explains quantum entanglement, because basically I haven't got the brains to really explain it, but it's interesting.
Entanglement happens when two particles interact in a way that their quantum state or wave function cannot be described independently or without the other. However, if you were to separate them by a great distance, a change to one instantly affects the other. This has been demonstrated in several experiments, and now a new study shows that such a phenomena is an inevitable feature of reality.
Yeah, so basically he says that quantum entanglement is scientifically observed. It is true. It is something that happens. It's something that happens all the time in our universe. And but the strange thing is, like, for example, when you take the two particles apart, somehow this information is instantly at the other particle. So when one starts moving at a certain way, another starts moving a certain way, vibrating. I'm not sure how it works, but it kind of just saying that somehow information gets across instantly. And that's strange because, like, we know that things don't really, like, things, for example, like matter and energy can't go, like, faster than the speed of light. Because how can something go instantly to another without the speed of light? Instantly, when you can't go faster than the speed of light. I think I saw that somewhere on a different documentary about the universe, and that was quite interesting. It's not something that is fully understood, but it is interesting, and it lends to this idea that it's just something that is an illusion. Like, we are ourselves, we are just imagining almost that pretty much somehow there has to be, like, a speed of light measurement to get from A to B. And obviously not necessarily saying that everything we understand is ludicrous, but it's like the basic foundation of understanding of how the universe works is being, shall we say, it has like a code to it. It's being worked in the behind the scenes to make these things happen, despite there being no despite being going to what contrary to what we think, to our current understanding of physics. So yeah, it's very interesting, and I hope they learn more about this. But yeah, on to the next bit.
Inner world of the mind, our thoughts, emotions, dreams, qualia, etc., would be distinct from the physical world, like how Hilbert space is distinct from space-time. In other words, there is a parallel distinction with the spaceless, non-physical reality of Hilbert space, from which space-time emerges, to how the spaceless, non-physical reality of our minds, our thoughts, emotions, dreams, is distinct from the external physical world. This is a common understanding with regards to the mind-matter distinction in philosophy of mind. no one can demonstrate how a mental phenomena would emerge from a physical substance. A feeling of pain can never be equated to an electrical signal. The mental experience of color cannot be equated to electromagnetic waves which hit receptors in our eyes. There is merely a correlation between the two, but one cannot explain how qualia could ever possibly emerge from this. As John Searle says, how does a mental reality, a world of consciousness, intentionality, and other mental phenomena fit into a world consisting entirely of physical particles and fields of force?
That was, that clip I showed you just then was the mind-body problem. So I think it was saying that it mentioned Hilbert space as well, because I think the Hilbert space is what I was talking about earlier, about how this space between a particle and another particle somehow is traversed instantly, the information somehow. And it's basically, shall we say, on almost like immaterial sort of plane of the universe. Yet the mind can be said of the same thing. It's quite how we perceive things in reality, how we feel something, how we touch, how we taste, etc. is fundamentally it comes from our sense of what it is. It's not necessarily the food itself and the chemicals and stuff. It's how we can have we have like an opinion about something. We have opinion. Oh yeah, strawberries taste really sweet. Like what defines something as really sweet? It's we did it, didn't we? So it wasn't the strawberry says, oh yeah, I'll define. Maybe how the chemicals work. That's how. Yes, but overall, the idea that we can make a judgment suggests that it's kind of a odd sort of like combination. But yeah, it's very complicated, but very interesting. And yeah, overall, I thought that was interesting. And I think then he goes on to say that therefore the universe is being sort of brought up into like some kind of mind, some kind of consciousness. It's not, the universe is not in existence due to just material, just a matter. It's actually been brought into existence by a mind, which is very interesting. Yet, I think where I criticise now this documentary is where, for example, it's basically telling everything we see and everything we touch, everything we feel, etc. is, shall we say, an illusion. But I challenge that, and some of the people in the comment section were challenging that. And I said a similar sort of thing. I said, maybe, there is probably like another plane of like physics and stuff like that that explains the emergent that we see, the emergent like materialism we see. But that doesn't mean that things don't make sense. Like the idea that, for example, and I use an example, if you lose your cells one by one, you progressively will get iller, and your concept of reality will change, and that's due to the cells disappearing in your brain, and that is actually a material cause. But so materialism is not wrong. It's like, I think materialism is just that. I don't think materialism is completely right. I think materialism is right in that sense that yes, things are caused by material things, but I think the idea that it's fundamental is not really opening. It's not, shall we say, going outside the box. It's kind of just saying, well, we'll stay in this box, and try not to go beyond that, because that's materialism. But like idealism basically tries to go beyond that and tries to explain why these things happen for no apparent reason. And for example, an interesting one that I love is Zeno paradox. And Zeno's paradox are quite interesting. I know this is going a bit off tangent, but it illustrates my point. So if you don't know what Zeno's paradox is, I'll read it out. It just says Zeno's paradoxes are a set of philosophical problems generally thought to have been devised by the Greek philosopher Zeno of Elea to support Parmenides' doctrine that, contrary to the evidence of one's senses, the belief in plurality and change is mistaken, and in particular that motion is nothing but an illusion. Did you catch that? The illusion bit? Yes. Basically, science is saying that probably all physics and stuff is an illusion to us. And you're wondering, why does he say that? Well, it's because of his Achilles and tortoise paradox, or the hare and tortoise. For example, the hare, say for example the tortoise is, it's moving forward. It's moving forward, and it gets to a certain point, and it finishes about half the race. But then you are going to start racing, but obviously you've got to remember that the tortoise is still moving, but you're moving faster. What you notice is, if you continually split the distances in half between you and the tortoise, what happens is it gets like progressive. The gap between you and the tortoise gets progressively smaller, but you never actually get to that tortoise. You never actually beat that tortoise, because you can keep dividing the parts into keep dividing the parts until it's infinite almost, and it's impossible to reach infinity because you can't for example, you can't count to infinity. You could say, oh yeah, I'll count to infinity in an infinity amount of time, but really, in reality, you never can actually get to infinity. Infinity itself is not even a number, so you could never actually get to infinity through numbers, because numbers are not don't really have a relation in terms to infinity. Yeah, it does in a sense, but for example, like 1 divided by 0, yes, probably you could argue is infinity, but so does 2 divided by 0, and 3 divided by 0, and it goes on and goes on. Basically, it equals the same thing. So numbers, you could say that infinity encompasses all the numbers, because all the numbers in between, like for example, between 0 and 1, there's an infinite amount of real numbers, because there's 0.1, 0.2, 0.11, 0.11111, etc. So, and you could even argue, like, how does the hare move at all? How does the tortoise move at all? Like, it's just impossible, because it's like you have to traverse an infinite amount of spaces in a certain amount of time. That's just, it kind of gets confusing. So yeah, and this could be the answer to it all. Maybe this quantum mechanics of quantum entanglement is the answer to it all. The reason why this happens. And if this is so, then location doesn't necessarily mean doesn't have a significance. But anyways, that's my review on it. I thought I really enjoyed it, but yeah, I do think material things happen, and they happen for reasons because of material things. But I think there's a connection between that and, like, for example, Hilbert space, which is the space, like, somehow how information gets from one location to the other. And for example, the mind again, how we somehow we can make a judgment about a taste of something, about a feeling. Right. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, I hope it was good. Yeah, all of these were just opinions of mine about the video. They're not necessarily fact or stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed my video, my review of this video, and I hope you can Go and watch it yourself and make your own judgment. And I hope you take care too. I'll see you later. Bye.